Tech Clean California Single-Family Heat Pump Water Heater Incentives. Single-Family Heat Pump Water Heater Incentive Details and Requirements. A single-family project includes the following situations: a single-family home, an accessory dwelling unit or an ADU, or an individual homeowner residence within a homeowners association, a condominium association, or a residential co-op type property. Please note that there are also multifamily incentives for projects affecting 2 or more dwelling units. And for more information about eligibility and funding availability, please visit the Contractor Knowledge Base or our Tech Public Reporting website. Tech Clean California first launched heat pump water heater incentives statewide on October 2023. In July of 2025, roughly $10 million of additional incentives for heat pump water heater incentives were launched. To find the exact date of availability, please visit our Contractor Knowledge Base or visit the Tech Budget table on the Public Reporting website. The incentives are available to all residential customers throughout California. Incentives are available for retrofit projects only, not new construction. These new incentives come with some new requirements that most contractors are likely unfamiliar with, so it's important to absorb the information in this training to ensure your projects are eligible. At a high level, the new requirements are that contractors must set the heat pump water heaters to shift electricity usage off evening peak hours. And customers must agree to be enrolled on a time of use rate if they're not already on one, and must enroll in a demand response program and water heater rewards program if those programs are available in their area. We'll talk more about these requirements a little bit later. Here are the incentives. There's quite a bit to see here, so feel free to pause to take a look closer. One thing to note is that incentives can stack or layer with other heat pump water heater incentive programs. The total incentives from Tech plus other programs are capped at the total project cost. Applicants will need to note on the claim form the total amount of other incentives contributing to the project. You'll notice that for each single-family incentive, there are 3 rows. Market rate incentives are geographically determined, having unique incentive rates for Northern California and Southern California. These regions are determined by the electric utility provider and will be highlighted in a few slides. Equity incentives are available statewide. You can also reference our knowledge base article to learn a little bit more. Next, let's look at the first column as the base incentive level. Incentives start at $1,100. The additional columns are further incentive amounts that a project can earn if the heat pump water heater uses a low global warming potential refrigerant, or if the tank size is 55 gallons or larger. Here's a few general reminders about the incentives as well. Contractors are required to pass the full incentive amount to the customer. There's a maximum of 2 units per household. Incentives are available for all replacement types except heat pump to heat pump conversions. Please note that there are opportunities to stack additional incentives with the Tech Clean California incentives. And to find additional incentives, visit incentives.switcheson.org/contractors. The amount that the customer receives will be determined by whether they receive their electricity from a Northern California, north of PG&E and SCE division, or Southern California, south of the PG&E/SCE division utility. For contractors, you can view the breakdown of the utilities by NorCal versus SoCal on the Tech Clean California Contractor Knowledge Base article, Heat Pump Water Heater Incentives - Single Family. And to find available incentives for a customer, you can search their zip code utilizing the SwitchesOn's Incentive Finder tool at incentives.switcheson.org. Heat pump water heater equipment and installation requirements. Here's a quick overview of the equipment requirements. Feel free to pause on this slide, and you can also reference the qualifying equipment articles on the knowledge base article as well as a qualified products list on the incentive resources page of the Tech Contractor Knowledge Hub. Please note that while most units on the market are eligible, there are additional equipment requirements as compared to the first round of Tech incentives. Installation requirement that we'd like to point out is the requirement of thermostatic mixing valves. TMVs are required on all installations and must be properly installed and calibrated. Thermostatic mixing valves must conform to the ASSE 1017 Boydton distribution, and built-in thermostatic mixing valves may conform to any of the standards shown on the slide. Let's not forget about the optimization requirement that is not a customer enrollment, the TOU schedule optimization. Contractors must set the heat pump water heater up to shift load or electricity usage off of peak hours. Contractors are required to set the heat pump water heater to follow time of use rate, meaning it will prioritize heating during the middle of the day and will minimize electricity usage during peak hours. For heat pump water heaters on the qualified products list for these type of projects, setting this up is simple. It's just a few clicks on the manufacturer phone app. For these projects, we'll need applicants to upload a photo or screenshot from the manufacturer app confirming successful setup when submitting the incentive claim. For more information on how to set up these schedules, including manufacturer-specific instructions, as well as guidance on the correct screenshot to capture, please reference the heat pump water heater time of use rate scheduling article on the Tech Contractor Knowledge Base. Please note that TOU rate schedules are designed by the heat pump water heater manufacturer to reduce electricity bills based on a TOU rate schedule. This is expected to benefit the majority of customers. However, some customers may have different priorities such as optimizing solar self-consumption, shifting even more electricity usage out of peak hours, or avoiding noise during sleeping hours. If this is the case, you can demonstrate to the customer how to set up their own schedule that meets their needs and still minimizes energy usage during time of use peak hours. You will need to reach out to the program team to describe the circumstance and request approval to submit that custom schedule instead of the default TOU rate schedule. Now it's time to learn about the scheduling and enrollment requirements that we mentioned at the beginning of this training. We know that a lot of this is new, but it will all help customers reduce their electricity bills and contribute to additional societal benefits. First, what do the new requirements mean and why are they important? During the evening or peak hours, there is more electricity demand on the grid as compared to the middle of the day when solar and clean energy are more abundant. This makes it harder for California to provide enough clean energy to meet that evening demand for electricity and can put strain on the grid when demand is the highest. So in order to continue to electrify and also make California's electricity supply cleaner with more renewable resources and more reliable, we have to shift some of the electricity demand out of the evening hours and into the daytime. Heat pump water heaters have the special ability to act like a battery with their large tanks of hot water and shift electricity usage from the evening to the daytime. They can be optimized to heat up to their full temperature during the middle of the day, which means they can reduce energy during evening peak hours, only using electricity if needed. Customers still have hot water whenever they need it, so there's no comfort impact. What are the new requirements, and how do they help customers and the electric grid? Time of use rates are electric rate plans with prices that vary based on the time of the day and the season. They include off-peak hours with lower prices and peak hours with higher prices. In California, off-peak hours are during the daytime, with peak hours most commonly between 4 to 9 p.m. These rates give customers more control over their electricity bills, and customers have the opportunity to save money by making smart choices like running the dishwasher or laundry during off-peak hours. Time of use rate schedule optimization that we talked about earlier in the installation rules section is a requirement for contractors to set the heat pump water heater during installation to prioritize energy usage during off-peak hours. Customers on time of use rates benefit from this type of optimization because the heat pump water heater will automatically avoid using energy during the hours when electricity prices are highest. Water heater rewards programs pay incentives to customers who enroll and allow the program to shift their water heater's energy usage to heat water when rates are lower. This is required in addition to the TOU schedule optimization because the rewards program can provide a customer-tailored approach to bill savings and more impactful grid benefits, while the TOU rate schedule will still provide the customer with bill savings, even if the water heater does not receive signals from the program. Demand response programs reward customers for making a temporary change in their electricity usage, most often to decrease electricity during peak hours. The demand response program enrollment is an additional opportunity to even out demand on the grid and earn rewards. Demand response programs encourage participants to make slight shifts to when they use energy to further reduce the demand for electricity during peak hours. There are all sorts of DR programs which customers can enroll in to meet this requirement. Some will text or email customers to reduce their energy use for a couple hours during summer evenings. Some will actually connect to another technology, such as a smart thermostat, and communicate automatically with their equipment. So customers don't even have to actively do anything to save energy. Even when appliances are connected, customers always have the option to adjust their equipment settings or opt out. And to sweeten the deal, most programs reward customers for signing up and/or for participating on an ongoing basis. This slide here, we have the enrollment requirements by building type and customer utility. Please pause and read to see the chart in detail. I'll go through a few high-level requirements. First, the asterisks in the SDG&E water heater rewards requirement indicated that for SDG&E CCA customers of San Diego Community Power, they must enroll in the CCA's program, Community Power. SMUD customers must enroll in Demand Response Program in order to receive the tech heat pump water heater incentives. However, unlike in the electric IOU territories, there are no demand response programs that are open to 100% of SMUD customers. If a customer is not able to enroll in My Energy Optimizer, SMUD's demand response program option, they may still receive an incentive. Please see the SMUD demand response eligibility process flow for My Energy Optimizer, a visual on the demand response program requirements knowledge base for further details. What are the roles of the customer and contractor? As a quick reminder, the customer is the utility account holder. For all the enrollment requirements, time of use, demand response, and water heater rewards, the customer will specifically agree to the requirements by checking boxes on the tech program terms and conditions, which they will need to sign. If the customer doesn't have an eligible TOU rate or DR program or a heat pump water heater rewards program in their area, as listed on our website, then the enrollment requirements do not apply to them. The terms and conditions contains links and QR codes to pages about TOU, demand response, and water heater rewards programs for customers to learn more information, find answers to frequently asked questions, and review their enrollment options. Contractors will need to confirm that all the necessary boxes on the terms and conditions are checked and that there are no missing signatures or information, or else incentive cannot be paid. For the demand response program enrollment, all customers must actively enroll in a qualifying demand response program. We cannot facilitate this on the back end for them. Customers will have the option to enroll in any qualifying demand response program of their choice, as discussed on the previous slide, and there are many options. Enrollment can take as little as 3 minutes. Customers will likely be unfamiliar with the concept of demand response, and contractors are encouraged to familiarize themselves with demand response and the program options so they can help the customers through the enrollment process. Also, there are many eligible demand response program options which can be a bit of information overload, so contractors will likely want to recommend 1 or 2 programs that will likely be best for the customer based on their location and priorities. This is why we're providing you with the resources you need to understand and explain this. Reach out to us if you need some help developing the talking points. Contractors will need to collect the verification of demand response enrollment to upload the incentive claim form. Enrollment information will look different for each program option, and we have updated the demand response program requirements knowledge base article with examples. As a reminder, the incentive claim form cannot be submitted without the proof of demand response enrollment uploaded as an attachment. Our contractor knowledge base article about demand response enrollment includes examples of acceptable images, and here are some examples. First is an email to the customer from OhmConnect. Second is a screenshot from within the customer's OhmConnect profile. And third is an email from SMUD's My Energy Optimizer program. In all cases, the customer's name must be shown, for example, in the body of the email or in the forwarded email header information. Personal information is blacked out here for privacy, but when you submit the image to our secure online incentive portal, you should not black out any personal information. Please contact your account manager or our tech contractor inbox if you need any help with meeting this requirement. Heat pump water heater documentation requirements. Here are the documentation requirements for heat pump water heater claims. Specifically, let's take a look at the photos first. Shown on screen first are the required photos: a previous water heater photo, copy of an electrical permit, a zoomed out photo of the heat pump water heater, the new heat pump water heater nameplate, close-up of the thermostatic mixing valve, but ignore that if it's integrated, a photo of the heat pump water heater time of use setup, and the electric meter. It's also recommended, but not required, to upload the customer utility bill as well. Another document that is required for the claim form is the customer invoice, the invoice for the project shared between the contractor and customer. This document should include the invoice date, which must be on or after launch date, the customer name, project address, the tech incentive and name in the full amount, any additional anticipated incentives and discounts, equipment details including the quantity, all related project costs, and the amount entered in IRIS should be total costs prior to the internal or external incentives and discounts being removed. Next, let's take a look at the documentation called the Terms and Conditions, also known as the T's and C's. The T's and C's require the customer name, customer address, customer signature, an account holder signature, an attestation of the demand response and water heater rewards program enrollment, the selection of the time of use rate to enroll, the electric utility and account number, the date, which must be on or after launch date, and the document must be fully completed or the reservation and/or the claim will be rejected. Please ensure that the required boxes are checked, and the information must match what you type into IRIS. Please reference the knowledge base article, Customer Terms and Conditions and Invoice Requirements on our knowledge base for more information about allowable signature dates. All single-family water heater projects will require the submission of the customer signed Terms and Conditions or T's and C's document. This document is found on the Switches On Incentive Resources page with options in multiple languages. It must be included at the time of reservation, it must be dated on or after launch date, it must be completely filled out, and it must utilize the current document version. And for the latest version, see the article Customer Terms and Conditions and Invoice Requirements. Please note, we reserve the right to cancel reservations that do not have all of the required information. Reserving and submitting single-family claims. Pre-approved reservations are a requirement for all single-family heat pump water heater projects. As soon as you have the information to reserve a claim, which we'll mention on the next slide, you should start a reservation in IRIS to ensure the project will be pre-approved for funding. One key timing element to keep in mind is that reservations expire 120 days after they have been pre-approved by default. We can extend reservations on a case-by-case basis. Please email tech.contractor@energy-solution with the request at least 15 days prior to your reservation expiring, and an account manager will provide instructions. Finally, reservations are for a specific customer. Once the reservation is submitted for the pre-approval, the address and customer name cannot be changed. If customer information changes between an approved reservation and a submitted claim, it may be subject to rejection. Valid reservations must have the following requirements in IRIS. For all projects, the customer address, name, and their electricity provider, as well as an uploaded signed copy of the Tech Clean California Customer Terms and Conditions, including the date of the terms and conditions which they were signed, which is typed manually into IRIS. We'll also ask if the home is owner or renter occupied, including a few additional questions related to that. And finally, we'll ask, do you plan to install a heat pump water heater that uses a CO2 refrigerant For example, the Sanko 2 heat pump water heater. And for equity projects, we'll ask, what is the method for income verification? And finally, the income verification upload or code. The reservation process for single-family heat pump water heater claims. As a first step, to create a new reservation, on the main dashboard of Iris, click the button New Pre-Approval located at the top right of the screen. From there, you'll be asked to provide the required information and documentation. This is the information that was highlighted on a previous slide. Once all information has been inputted into the pre-approval, you'll submit the reservation. From there, a pre-approval object will be created for the entire project, and a funder request will be created within that object for all programs this project might be eligible for. Next, based on the answers you provided, the funder request will be approved or rejected within 2 weeks. Once all the funder requests for your reservation have been approved or rejected, you are approved to move forward with your project and can turn your reservation into a claim by pressing the Start a Claim for this pre-approval button. If the customer information changes between an approved reservation and a submitted claim, it may be subject to rejection. Remember to monitor the Tech Clean California incentive budget. Please stay up to date on the incentive budget as day-to-day things can change quickly. Visit the budget table shown on the link on screen and utilize the knowledge base article, How to Navigate the Tech Clean California Budget Table for more details on how to read the table. This budget table is updated at least twice weekly, and the program team sends budget emails at least once a week when budget is running low. When funding is nearly reserved, we announce via email the last day to sell and reserve jobs. Funding is first come, first served. Anything created is not guaranteed to be funded until budget impact is clear. In this next section, we'll showcase some of the key heat pump water heater claim form fields that you may not be used to collecting. Be sure to review the entire claim field list before installing a project. To find that, navigate to the contractor knowledge base to access an Excel document that showcases all of the field requirements. First, let's take a look at some customer information. We'll ask the customer's electricity provider, including if it's SDG&E, is this SDG&E customer also a customer of San Diego Community Power? We'll also ask the customer's electric account number, the electric meter ID. Did the customer indicate on the terms and conditions that they would like to opt in to donate their advanced meter interval billing data? And then, what is the customer's preferred written language? Next, taking a look at site information, we'll ask the number of bedrooms served by the installed heat pump water heater, the number of bathrooms served by the installed heat pump water heater, and was solar PV present at the house before the heat pump installation. For project information, we'll ask for those customer terms and conditions sign date, the signed T's and C's themselves, and other electric technologies on site were installed as part of this project. For installation details, we'll ask what operating mode was the heat pump water heater left in, the heat pump water heater set point temperature, and which pre-installation actions were necessary. Topic of demand response and time of use, we'll ask, did the installer set the heat pump water heater to follow time of use rate? Was a universal communication module add-on unit installed? Did the customer enroll in a demand response program, including some follow-up questions? Customer's demand response enrollment confirmation. Did the customer enroll or agree to enroll in a water heater rewards program? And finally, did the customer opt in to being contacted about future heat pump water heater demand response programs? In the materials section within Iris, you'll be asked to input the installed equipment by selecting any unit under the J13 compliant heat pump water heater product type, as they all will qualify for the program. You can also type the source ID as make_model to quickly fill the material out if you know the model number already as it appears in Iris. Next, in terms of photos that must be uploaded, we ask for the previous water heater, which must include the equipment nameplate, a zoomed out photo of the heat pump water heater, which must show the capped gas line, insulated hot and cold lines, the earthquake strap, the temperature pressure release valve, the condensate drain, and the termination point, a new heat pump water heater nameplate, including the model and serial numbers which must be legible, a close-up of the thermostatic mixing valve, and please note that this is not needed if the TMV is integrated into the heat pump water heater, a photo of the heat pump water heater time of use setup, and you must provide a screenshot from the manufacturer app. See the time of use setup info for heat pump water heaters knowledge base article for more information and instructions. And finally, the electric meter, showing the one that the heat pump water heater is on. The meter ID must be legible and must match the meter ID entered in the claim form. A few last fields that we like to point out are for the additional incentives and attestation sections. First, in the additional incentives section, we'll ask to please select the name of any other incentive programs being applied for and what the total amount of other incentives applied for is. Finally, in the attestation section, we'll ask contractor to attest that by submitting this form, I affirm that the installers for this project completed the required installer training for TechClean California heat pump water heater incentives. Lastly, we want to point out a few common mistakes to avoid to ensure that your claim gets approved as fast as possible. Ensure that the terms and conditions are completely filled out, signed, and dated, and match what you enter in IRIS manually. Provide the correct customer account number. Provide clear photos. Include the correct TechClean California incentive in the customer invoice. Ensure the correct model and serial number are selected. Ensure addresses are all correct, spelled correctly, and match. And finally, ensure that the customer in IRIS is the customer on the invoice. Pay close attention to the details you provide and that they must match the uploaded documents. Thank you for listening to this training about TechClean California heat pump water heater incentives and requirements. We look forward to working with you. And to contact us, please email tech.contractor@energy-solution.com.